Comparing and contrasting. Now, there are many opportunities to compare things in the Torah. The thing is that very often we don't see them and we overlook the beautiful opportunities that are there. Okay? These are the kind of things we look for. Things like this. Additional words or phrases that are added in the first one or not in the second one. Deletions, words that are missing. It says it in one place, it's not in the other place. There's a change in the order of the way something happened, how it was told and how it was actually carried out. So we can compare and contrast using a number of graphic organizers. The Venn diagram is a very, very simple way of doing it. How they're different would go on the outside and how they're the same would go in the middle. So let's have a look at what this might look like. Because if you look at this Rashi, Rashi says, "Vayimlu yameh aval b'tamar ksiv." So what is Rashi doing? He's comparing this pasuk right here to another pasuk, right? So we have these two pasukim in front of us, and we underline the words that are exactly the same, and they are v'hinei and b'vitna. Two lines under words that are different, but they share the same shorish. Lo ledes and lidita. Okay, so on both of them, we're talking about giving birth. Lo ledes and lidita. Words that are different. Vayimlu yameha versus vahi be'es. And what else is different? Time and time are different. Okay? So they can do it on something on a worksheet like that, where they see the two psukim right on top of each other. They do a little exercise. Use the Venn diagram, plant it. So I see v'hine bevitna, behold in her stomach. So we're talking about two women who are expecting. And laledis, they're both going to give birth. So we're after a time. But then we have these two differences. And it's good to let them suggest why. So if a lady's expecting, what does it mean that her days are full? What's a full pregnancy? When we look back at this Rashi, if I've done something like this, now Rashi's not just, again, not an extra piece of information. Rashi's going to answer my questions. Rashi says, Vayimlu yameha, but with Tamar, it says, Vahi be'es lidatam. Rashi tells me why. Shalom mo yameha, ki l'shiva chadash milad tam. And then Rashi talks about here too. V'hinei saimim. And Rashi says, chaser. It's missing. What's it missing? It's missing an aleph. Students would know that because they did it on the worksheet. They saw that there was a saimim and a saimim. So when we say have a chaser here, they know exactly what we're talking about because we did this before. Oh yeah, it's missing the aleph. Because sheshneim tzaddikim. Because Tamar had two tzaddikim, Peret and Zerach. But over here, there was one tzaddik and one rasha. So we saw that, when you have a Venn diagram, the students have to take it, put the information in, and the information is very open. Like what they put there, what they don't put there is really up to them to figure out. Sometimes, especially with younger students, when we start comparing, we want to guide them a lot more when they compare. And something like this does that for them, because what it's saying is, I give them very specific questions. Maybe I'm comparing Noach and Abraham. And maybe I'm saying, who was the tzaddik? What were the people like at their time? What did Hashem want to do? How did the tzaddik respond? What actually happened? Okay? This kind of a thing. Now, on a younger level, you'd come up with the questions and let them find the answers, right? So they're comparing, but it's much more guided. Obviously, if they're older, they can come up with the questions. If you tell them, I want you to compare these two events and come up with the key questions. When I have more than two, I start getting 3 or 4 objects to compare, it gets very tricky for a student, especially a younger student, to see something here, a category on one end, and have to go across 4 columns to compare. They get all smished. They put 1, 2, and they put it on the box below and a box up. It's like lines, you little kids, and they're all over the place. So when we have things like that, if we put the category direct smack in the middle, they never have to go more than 2 columns. More likely they're going to stay in the right box. Okay? Now we're going to do a little exercise, and we're going to practice one just like this. So notice the category is smack in the middle. You're comparing 4 shvatim here, not all 12. So why was this a useful thing to do? Had to make sure that every student saw what happened when we got to Levi. So we fill them in. We have our Shevet, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda. Right? So here we've got 4 sons of Leah. Who called them by their name? Well, Leah called Reuven. How do I know? Because the pasuk actually says, Vatikra. And she called Reuven, so that's his mother, Shimon, right? Vatikra, Shimon. She called him Shimon. And then it says, though, Al Kain, Kara Shmai Levi. Let's look at Yehuda. Okay, Kar'a Shemai, feminine. Kar'a, she called. So then, once I do that, and the students actually see, and everyone can see, and they all see slightly different, I can then go to this Rashi that says, Kara Shmar Levi, and Rashi says, hey, they all said Vatikra. And here it says Kara. And so therefore I have a medrash that who actually named him? Malach Gavriel. It's very easy to do this. It doesn't take long for the students to do something like that. And it focuses them on the exact words I need them to look at to understand where Rashi got this. Again, he's not just saying something. He's answering a question we have when we're reading the Pshat of the Pasuk and we see things that are a little bit odd. They're different. They're not what we're expecting to see. We see a pattern and the pattern changed. So Rashi's going to tell me why.